and welcome to another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. I'm Taylor Phillips. He's Ed Smith. I got a lot to talk about this week, including the Lions clinching the NFC North Division, the Michigan Alabama Rose Bowl game, and the college football playoff semifinal, plus the Tigers signing Shelby Miller, the Pistons losing 27 straight, and of course the Red Wings also declining. But let's celebrate but analyze this 30-24 win the past Sunday on Christmas Eve. 30-24 US Bank Stadium over the Minnesota Vikings, the once defending former NFC North champions. Now the Lions are the new NFC North champions. 4 interceptions by their secondary, plus their offense, they went right to work as well. David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, and the defense, they did the rest of the work, including that game-clinching, division-clinching interception by Lions safety Ifeatu Melifonwu, who was the NFC Defensive Player of the Week, with 5 tackles, that aforementioned interception, 2 pass breakups, and a sack. That's amazing. Kirby Joseph with the other two of the other picks, and Brian Branch with the first pick. But Melifonwu was doing like at least double duties. But that's a part of the keys on defense, while the offense scored enough points to win. So Ed, just an amazing win, and the Lions clinched their first division championship in 30 years when it was the NFC Central in 1993, technically the first time ever to clinch what is now called the NFC North Division.
Very much correct, Taylor. This is their first official NFC North title. It's been a very, very, very long time since we can say Detroit Lions and division champions. Even in some of the heyday of Barry's best days, even in his latter seasons, they did not win a division title. The best they could achieve for was the wild card. So knowing that this is a team that in just the 4th time in franchise history has recorded at least 11 wins or more in a single season, doing that in a way to clinch the division title against a team in Minnesota who, let's be honest, in many ways represents kind of like a full circle kind of moment for them. When you think about how in Dan Campbell's first year, it was against Minnesota, but they got that very first win at the buzzer at the end of the game with Goff, the Amon-Ra St. Brown. It was against Minnesota in Dan Campbell's second year where, you had to prove a lot of yourself against them. Namely the fact that that game that you let get away from them in Minnesota, where it looked like Dan Campbell had a chance to kick a field goal, just bad game management, led to Minnesota coming back again to win. The infamous press conference where Dan Campbell's in tears, that sort of thing. You know that story. Fast forward now to 1 year later. Minnesota, the reigning defending division champions, but they've gone through a lot. They've lost their quarterback. They've been losing players left and right throughout the season. They were even losing players in the middle of the game, to which the Lions, to their credit, took advantage of. That's how you saw Amon-Ra St. Brown start to open up more, get more production, get more yards, because you could see the game plan early on for Minnesota was to contain Saint. While that worked to an extent, that also meant that Detroit could open up the field more to get more weapons and more targets involved. 2 guys like Josh Reynolds, to get more targets to Jameson Williams, to let to let David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs do what they do best, be, in my opinion, the best 1-2 running back duo in the entire league. When you combine the speed of Gibbs and the power of Monty, it creates a formidable balance that Detroit used to gain over 140 yards once again on the ground, which was right in line with their season average of what they needed to do, while also with their defense conversely stopping the run, which, again, pay attention to that, because I'm going to key on that later on when we preview against Dallas. But in this game, it worked to set up the pass and the play action Goff, by the way, I thought looked tremendous early on in terms of getting the ball out fast and quick, not holding on to it, expecting the pressure that was coming from this Brian Flores defense and responding in kind, taking what the defense gave them, picking apart the zone, finding guys like Reynolds, like JMO, like St. Brown, like Khalif Raymond, like Sam Laporta at one point, and even late in the game when you need to get a big first down, you found Donovan Peoples-Jones even. That's what you call spreading the ball around, getting other people involved. That's the Jared Goff we've been used to seeing when he's not turning the ball over and costing the team or putting the team in bad spots to eventually lose games. When he's on, you see what he's capable of, especially behind this offensive line, which I've got to tell you, man, the way if as long as they stay healthy, particularly Jonah Jackson, Frank Ragnow, and Penei Sewell. If those three stay healthy, those three most key important pieces of that offensive line, Detroit is going to be a tough out because with a healthy and powerful O-line, you can run the football, establish the run, milk the clock, drain the clock, get first downs, move the chains, control the ball, keep the other team off the field, and all by the way, give your quarterback ample protection to execute what he's got to do, whether it be simple drop back and pass or what Goff does best with the play action. And when you have your tight end rotation led by Laporta, of course, they can utilize the play action for getting different routes for JMO to run around in space. That opens up so much more for this playbook for Ben Johnson to where you can do things like a Jared Goff QB sneak on 4th and 2 because no one's expecting it. Just like no one's going to expect you to run the ball on a halfback draw on 3rd and 7 from the shotgun. It's the things that you're not expecting that you're executing at just the right moments, just the right spots that leads to the success and why this offense has been so efficient. Having long productive drives like you saw at the opening drive where it was double 13, 14 plays. Drives like that is going to wear down on a team physically and mentally, and you're going to need drives like that come playoff time. But it wasn't just the fact that they were doing so well. It was how you were going to be able to respond to things were not going so well. When Minnesota was battling back, when things were getting adverse, Minnesota scores on their opening drive to match you. Then they score on not just the last drive of the first half, but also the first drive of the second half. So that was putting pressure. That was letting you know, like I had said last week, Minnesota was going to give you everything they got in this one. Now, granted, they're not eliminated from playoff contention yet, but this felt like a playoff game. This felt like, hey, loser gets eliminated type of atmosphere. And Minnesota brought it, despite the mistakes from their quarterback, despite, like you mentioned, 4 interceptions, despite the fact that Minnesota gave up 4 sacks and 11 QB hits. Despite all that, they still had a chance on the last play of the game, on the last drive of the game to win it. When you have an absolute freak, and I mean it in the nicest way possible, an absolute freak like Justin Jefferson, who can literally get out and out jump anyone in that whole damn stadium to go up and get the ball when you need him to get the ball. 3rd and 27, I was halfly disgusted, but also halfly amazed. Disgusted because how in the name of God do you give up that type of conversion in that type of situation? But also amazed because, hey, that's credit to the type of athlete and the type of receiver that Jefferson is. And frankly, maybe upon realization, this is what many fan bases had to have felt for all those years watching us when we had Stafford to Calvin Johnson. So some type of food for thought in that perspective. But still, overcoming that, and overcoming, by the way, that missed recovered fumble when it looked like you had a chance to seal it right then and there. Kaminsky does not fall on it. Minnesota recovers. They then drive down the field. You're thinking, oh, God, whether that's going to be the thing that gets replayed all week. But instead, Ifatu Melifonwu, who the guy who was a mid-round draft pick, who has become a late bloomer, it seems, with his development on the defensive side of the ball, being primarily used in so many different ways, whether it been as a blitzer or as a safety. He has gotten 3 sacks in the past 2 games. You already mentioned the pass breakups. He had potentially a sack fumble earlier in the game, which was overturned by replay because it was the right call. But still, all that, the fact he was all over the field, stopping the run, making crucial plays, pass breakups, and then, of course, that game-sealing interception. Melifonwu, the fact that he stepped up, we saw Brian Branch step up again today. That was very good to see that from the rookie. Very good to see Kirby Joseph uh, showcasing what he had showcased in the year before. He had lost. He had a bit of a regression for this year so far. It's good to see him pick up that kind of confidence back. And it's interesting to note that they're doing this after Jerry Jacobs has gotten injured, but also while awaiting the return of not just C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but also potentially James Houston as well. Dan Campbell did hint in this press conference that they're working towards eventually getting Houston, onto this countdown clock the way that they did for CJ. So we don't know when James Houston will be back officially, just like we don't know officially when CJ will be back. But you have a better feeling about CJ that more than likely he will play at least one of these last two games before the playoffs start. But I was just impressed all around. The defense getting pressure on the quarterback, the offense making big plays when necessary, and when adversity was facing you, when moments was looking like, oh, this seems like a same old Lions type of deal, you prove that no, this is in fact the brand new Lions. And the brand new Lions are not just a damn good football team. They are now also your new reigning and defending NFC North Division champions. And frankly, they got a chance to go for the 1 seed.
Yeah. And speaking of the 1 seed, the 49ers dropped to 11-4, same record as the Lions. They lost 33-19 to the Baltimore Ravens at home on Christmas Day. The Philadelphia Eagles on the same night, on the same day, they beat the New York Giants 33-25 to improve to 11-4. So that's a 3-way tie in terms of records. But the Dallas Cowboys, their next opponent, dropped to 10-5 after losing 22-20 on a game-winning field goal, I think with 5 seconds left.
It was right at the buzzer. It was right at the gun.
It was as time expired. Yep.
Right at the gun. Yep.
Yep.
Trust me. And there was a big reason why it got to that position, and I'll explain the why in the game preview.
Yep. And of course, to prove to some that don't quite follow along, the NFC North standings, Lions, of course, clinched at 11-4. Vikings dropped to 7-8. Packers 7-8. Chicago's 6-9. The Bears.
Worth noting that even though the Lions clinched the division, both the Packers and the Vikings are still fighting for playoff spots. And guess what? Both teams are facing each other this weekend. So that is essentially a de facto eliminator when you think about it. So if one of those two teams, their season is all but about to come to an end this Sunday or this weekend rather.
Yep. So let's get to that Dallas Cowboys game at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, Saturday at 8:15 on ABC and ESPN. The Cowboys are favored -6. And as Chris Pame pointed out, 7-0 at home this year.
Yes, Taylor. There's a reason why they are the Cowboys are favored by 6. And frankly, I'm almost a little bit surprised that it wasn't a full touchdown, if not more. Considering the fact that, yes, not only is Dallas 7-0 at home this year, going for the clean sweep, but in each of those games, they have scored at least 30 points or more. Now, that happens when you have, the atmosphere that Dallas, that the Cowboys fan base can provide, the type of noise in such a massive stadium as the stadium is. When you have weapons like CeeDee Lamb, who can change the game, similar to what a Justin Jefferson could do to you. Dak Prescott, while I know he's not everybody's favorite cup of tea, but he's been efficient enough, extremely productive. He's the reason why he has been the starter for Dallas, even going back to his rookie year. The numbers that he puts up, and also the fact that he has them in constant contention year in and year out. You may debate on whether or not he's clutch enough, or is he this tier or that tier, but there's no debating whether that he's an above average quarterback. And frankly, when given enough time, he can pick you apart. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong for Detroit, admittedly, because I just mentioned the fact of how unstoppable it seems that Dallas is at home, how they look, how they score, how they look beating teams up. And the fact that it's also going to be on Jimmy Johnson Ring of Honor night does not escape my memory as well. But here's some things that I do believe can play in Detroit's factor. Number one, first and foremost, Dallas has shown as of late that they cannot stop the football when it's run at them. Their run defense has been very lacking, to say the least, particularly against Buffalo and most especially against Miami. Now, as of the result of those past two games, mainly those two games, it's now risen that the Cowboys defense has given about 4.5 yards per carry on average for the whole season. It may not seem like a lot, but when you're facing against a team or going against a team that has an offensive line like this, that has running backs that can average 5, 6, sometimes 7 yards a pop every time they touch the ball, that's going to be very crucial and key in terms of, hey, when can the Cowboys get Dak on the field, or when can they get off the field with their defense, or when can they get timely stops, or force Detroit into obvious passing situations where they can bring pressure on Jared Goff. So watching how Detroit is going to try to implement doing what they do best, while also seeing Dallas try to find some way to type of counter that or make an adjustment to that, will be interesting. That'll be my biggest key of the game, as to see that the Lions can establish the run. Because if they do, they'll give themselves a real good shot at winning this game. Because Dallas, when they're not on the field as much, they don't have that chance to be as explosive as they usually are. When they've gotten at least 20 or more points this season, they've gone 9-0, I believe. When scoring less than that, they're 1-4. So yeah, you bring up you raise your chances if you can establish the run first and foremost. So knowing that, what do you have to do on the opposite side of the field of Detroit? Bring the pressure on Dak Prescott. It is worth noting that Dak has been sacked at least 3 times or more for the past 4 straight games. Remember that I mentioned that the Lions, yes, correct. Now remember that I mentioned that the Lions got 4 sacks last week on Nick Mullins. If they can replicate that similar type of success, because we know Aiden Hutchinson has gotten Dak before on a sack. If he can get him on another one, we can see, John Kaminsky, for example, or we can see Benito Jones, or we can see Melifonwu being brought down on a late disguised blitz, something to just disrupt Dak's rhythm, his timing, and put it in a spot to where, like I said, guys like CeeDee Lamb are not going to be as effective against you as you once thought. Now, all that's going to depend on whether or not, again, the usual spot. I see if it sounds like a broken record, but yeah, when the Lions are protecting the ball, they're just very much hard to beat, especially on the offensive side of the ball, where they can finish drives, score touchdowns, and not put their defense in bad spots, because that defense is a weakness for Detroit. But like I said, you control the game long enough with your run and your offensive line and just milk the clock and drain the whole time of possession. It makes things much easier for you.
By getting first downs, apparently.
Yeah, first downs, moving the chains, just
making play
keeping
calls.
Control, yes, keeping control of that clock.
Pretty simple way.
Yeah, trust me. You should tell that to Kansas City right now in terms of play calling and execution. Because I don't know what the hell what that was on Christmas Day. But anyway, I digress.
Chiefs kept turning the ball over against the Las Vegas Raiders, by the way.
I know. So, and trust me, if the Lions don't want to get blown out, that's one thing they're going to have to avoid themselves, turning it over, because they did have one costly one when Jameer was on the middle of trying to break off a big run. The ball got knocked out of his grip by the other player's helmet, so that was a costly fumble. So you don't want that to happen against a team like Dallas, especially on the road.
Yep. So, what is your prediction?
As long as Detroit stays disciplined enough, keep the penalties as low as possible, especially those pre-snap penalties, because I think those plans are going to be trying to be as loud as possible to disrupt your timing. Be careful with the pre-snap penalties. Take care of the football. Dominate with the running game, and try to get as much pressure as you can with your pass rush on Dak. This turns into a winnable game. If that happens, Detroit can easily cover.
Patience.
I'm still going to say, though, that because Dallas knows what to do, they've been efficient enough where they can get stuff done at home, and knowing the weaknesses that Detroit's defense does possess, I will say Dallas wins this one, but Detroit will cover. So I'm thinking a 38-34 kind of final.
I'm going to go 37-34 by just a field goal, Dallas. So yeah, either
Trust
way.
me, don't get me wrong. I would very much love to see them going out there and win this game because what? Not
Hopefully
only
the Lions will prove us
Yes.
wrong.
Don't get me wrong. I would love to see it because not only it proves that you are definitely for real in terms of contending for that number one seed in the NFC, you're a definite Super Bowl contender. So that will be the statement that will be made if you go in there and beat Dallas, because this will be by far your best win of the season, even better than the Kansas City one.
Yep. Also, speaking of the NFC number one seed, watch the Eagles play at home against the Arizona Cardinals. Oh, the Eagles are going to win this one.
Yeah, but it's still simple though, because I think due to tiebreaker scenarios, the Lions still would get the percentage more over than the Eagles. So long story short, as I've seen being explained on Twitter multiple times, if the Lions win out and San Francisco just loses once, the Lions are the number one seed. Period. Now, I don't expect San Francisco to lose this weekend because they're facing Washington. But guess who they're facing in Week 18? The Rams.
Yep.
So
True.
Trust and believe the way that Stafford's been playing right now, and you know how heated that rivalry can get, and knowing for the fact that the Rams are fighting for a playoff spot themselves, you absolutely know that game is going to be intense. And frankly, I would not be surprised if the Rams go out there and win, which means all the Lions got to do is handle their business. If they somehow beat the Cowboys, then handle their business at home against Minnesota.
Yeah. So I do appreciate Chris Palme's truthful, comments. Craig Peterson is like getting his hopes up. Lions win by 17. They will run
goodness
wild
gracious.
on Dallas.
Trust me, if they go
Dallas
in there,
can't stop our running game. Well, we're just analyzing this whole thing and being truthful. We're not trying to shit on them.
Trust me, if they go in there and blow out Dallas, then I will be the one saying that they should be the favorites to represent the NFC if that happens. Because because frankly, you would have had the most impressive performance, or one of the most impressive performances of the season against a team of that nature in those circumstances. It will put you on a very short list.
Yeah. Craig Pedersen says no offense by the Cowboys. Who has no offense? The Cowboys?
No, it says no offense.
Oh, no offense. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, but yeah, the 49ers are still the team to beat based on their win over the Philadelphia Eagles. The Lions have no playoff experience. That's the truth. That's the Michigan sports truth.
Very much true, but still going to come down to who you play and who you face. And if the Lions are going to get a favorable matchup in the first round, all they got to do is handle their business, and there you go. You got a playoff win, and you're at home. But you're potentially looking at 2 home playoff games in a row here. So that will get you up to speed on that experience, that needed experience throreshold.
Yeah, anything can happen. Of
Trust
course.
me, for guys that have been here, like since not just the beginning, but before the beginning, like since the previous regime, guys like Taylor Decker, for example, guys like Frank Ragnow, they would relish a chance in a moment like this.
Yeah,
trust me.
Ragnow and Sewell full practice today.
Yeah, and so it's just a matter of waiting of who's going to be healthy enough to come back around before the season ends.
Yep. But the Ravens, I know they're an AFC team. They will beat anyone, even the 49ers. Yeah. But being at home, even more pressure on the team. Yeah.
Well, we saw what he did against us. So.
Yeah, that was a rout. Home field advantage, not a big deal anymore. that's also true. Just stay healthy from this game, of course. So, moving on to the Michigan Wolverines Alabama Crimson Tide College Football Playoff Semifinal Rose Bowl game. Next Monday at 5 p.m. on ESPN. Let's preview this sucker. What do you got?
Man, oh man, where do we begin? The fact that it is the granddaddy of them all, the fact that it is two storied historic programs and teams, the fact that this is one of the last potential, it seems like like I said before with the Ohio State game, it feels like a type of a game of reckoning type of atmosphere to where things going to be much different after this game. But in terms of what Michigan needs to do and get the win, it comes down to containing Jalen Milroe as much as you can, because he's going to be as low as he can be with his mistakes and inefficiencies. He can be very dangerous when he's on rhythm and on point. Jim Harbaugh mentioned earlier today in his press conference that in his view, Milroe is like a more polished version of Alex Orji. So that's their backup QB that they have. So if Harbaugh is giving you that type of comparison, that lets you know of what type of player that you expect to be going against you. And frankly, hearing that could stir up some memories of seeing what Vince Young did to you in the Rose Bowl. So you hope it doesn't get to that type of repeat. But to control all that, you got to be physical and you got to be methodical. Be physical to how the defense usually is physical, being uptight, preventing separation from the receivers. You have one of the best secondaries in America. You have absolute studs with your cornerbacks. You have defensive linemen that knows how to just swallow up the run and get pressure on the quarterback. So in my opinion, the more pressure will be on the Michigan offense, because I feel the defense will do what's necessary and do everything possible to keep this game as close as they can. But if you're Michigan, this is where you have to take what the defense gives you, be smart, and use your advantages. To me, if it means that you got to bring out extra offensive linemen, do it. If it means you got to use Donovan Edwards in both running and passing situations, and sometimes maybe say, let's get Kalel Mullings involved with the run, do it. If it means you got to use your tight ends, which I highly recommend you should, do it. JJ McCarthy, he's fully healthy now. He's, all that time off, the time to prepare, definitely has to step up. He has shown at spots and moments that he is willing and necessary to do that. We saw that against Ohio State in 2 years in a row. When JJ has to make the throw, he has made the throw. And frankly, as people would love to bring up and make fun of the performance against TCU with the two pick sixes, let's not forget of the efforts JJ did in helping us, bringing us back and almost winning that damn game. So for JJ, it comes down to be calm, be focused, be in the moment. Don't worry about what happened last year against TCU, being a detriment to how you play against Alabama. Focus on the here and now. Trust your coaches. Trust what you see on the field. Trust your own innate decision making. If you see a chance where you can scramble, pick up a few yards with your feet, do it. Get those yards, get that first down, but be as smart as you possibly can, because this is an experienced and talented team to where they will feast on your mistakes. But I expect this to be a close game. I expect this to be a tight game. I expect this to be as much of a defensive battle as you can get. Points will be at a premium. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see situations to where Saban's going to go for a field goal instead of going for it, or vice versa for Harbaugh, do not be surprised if you see that happens, because they believe points will be at a premium.
Yeah, got to establish the run early in the game just to set the tone, to at least set the tone.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this.
Thanks to Craig for his compliment, by the way.
Oh yeah, no problem. Excuse me. It should be interesting to see, and it'll be interesting to note how Michigan's offensive line is going to perform against Bama's defensive pressure without Zach Center. We saw it has some type of a little bit of miscombobulation against Iowa. You would hope that with a month off, time to prepare, enough rest and strategize, you'll know what to do for that side of the field. But it'll be interesting to see. Again, that'll be another key factor in my opinion. One key matchup: how does Michigan do with their offensive line on the right side of the field? Because it could be very well be the difference of their offensive line establishing enough for their running game and protection for JJ versus Alabama being as disruptive the way they were against Georgia in the SEC title game. So, yeah, like Chris said, play clean, no mistakes, keep the turnovers as low as you can, and stay focused. And frankly, we've rarely seen Michigan be out of character and commit dumb fouls and penalties. So if they keep that discipline on focus and just execute as best as they can, utilize their strengths, they will have a very, very good chance of winning this game.
All right. So as I showed on StreamYard video, Chris Palme predicts Michigan to beat Alabama 35-28. Craig Pederson says it's going to be a 3-point game. No matter, I guess it's no matter which team wins. Going to be a dogfight. Again,
I'm with Pederson's line of thinking on that.
Yeah. So who wins? Well, what's the score? The amount of points?
Michigan 2017.
20-17. A little bit more of a defensive game.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's what my gut is telling me. My gut is telling me it will be a defensive slugfest. If you can get your scores, get them. But it's going to come down to who will make the least crucial mistakes. It'll be a very difficult battle because you know what type of genius and what type of master that Saban is with not just pregame adjustments, but also pregame game plan, but also mid-game adjustments. So that's going to be a tall task. But we were saying before, to be the best, you got to beat the best. You've been saying this is unfinished business. You've been saying you want to be national champions. Well, guess what? Now's your chance. You wanted to beat Georgia? Well, you're not going to get that chance, but now you got the chance to beat the team that did beat Georgia. And frankly, if you do that, you would be, in my opinion, the hands-down favorite to win a national championship. So, but frankly, I'm going to go on record and saying whoever wins this game will win the national title.
Yeah, they might.
That's no disrespect. No disrespect to Washington or Texas. I just feel these are the two best teams that you could think of that'll be in a way to combat or neutralize the style that whatever Washington or Texas will try to employ. And frankly, if it feels like whoever wins this game is going to be the national champion.
Yep. Chris Palme does disagree. Well, we never know. You just gotta.
I understand of the past. I understand of the past history. I understand the past history. You still got to win a game first. And I know Washington is solid, but I've seen weaknesses in how to get at that defense. So Penix will be the best quarterback they faced, yes, but there are many ways that you can beat a team. Controlling the clock will be one of them.
Yes, exactly. So 5 p.m. on ESPN.
What was your score, Taylor? I didn't hear your score.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go Michigan 27, Alabama 24. I'm gonna range this.
But you really think Michigan's gonna win, huh?
Yep.
All
right. And just barely cover.
Okay. It'll be a battle either way.
Motivated enough. I think they will be motivated and prepared enough to at least beat Alabama by 3.
Well, I think this is going to be a game where a field goal decides things. So I agree with you on that.
Of course. Yeah. So the Tigers. They signed Los Angeles Dodgers right-handed relief pitcher Shelby Miller to a 1-year, $3 million contract with a $4.25 million club option for 2025. Shelby Miller posted a 1.71 ERA and a 0.91 WHIP and 42 strikeouts in 36 relief appearances for the Dodge crew.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like them apples, huh?
I like the fact that you are adding a veteran arm to the bullpen, You're adding a player with experience that he has said recently, quote, I'm kind of like a Swiss Army knife. So whatever that AJ Hinch would need from him, whether it be leverage innings, back of the inning, setup innings, potential closing innings, situational innings, or situational batters, he said he will be willing and be available for that type of moment should it arise. So that's good to hear from him. It's also worth noting that while he did have a tremendous and absolutely outstanding time with the Dodgers, he did have a slow start before that. He did have at one point an 8.92 ERA. That's not good, and there was a reason why it wasn't good. So whatever it was, whether it would be the change in scenery, whether it was the fact that he added the split-fingered fastball to his arsenal, that became damn near unhittable for many players, for many batters. Whether it was, he got his stuff fixed, and it led to the numbers that you described earlier, Taylor. So if we can get that version of Shelby Miller in our bullpen, it would be to me like a low floor but high ceiling type of deal that you would pull off with this move.
Yeah. So what's your grade?
I'll give it a B+.
All right. Speaking of the Dodgers, Chris Palme wants to ask our thoughts on the Dodgers spending over $1 billion on free agent signings. Yikes, including Shohei Ohtani.
And getting Yamamoto.
Yeah.
Yeah, frankly.
No kidding, man.
Hey, man, it's called, if you want to have that drive to compete, to win for championships, you got to spend money, which is something I wish local ownership right here would take hint and notice of.
But speaking of Shelby Miller, I'd give this a B+.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but a $300 million payroll for the Dodgers. The Tigers need their starting staff to pitch well and stay healthy. Of course, they're going to have to step it up a notch. Casey Mize needs to step up more. Matt Manning, Tarek Skubal, all those guys are staying put. MLB needs a hard salary cap. I get that. But for the Tigers, they just need to step up and
good luck with that.
Play. Yeah. But speaking of which, shifting gears, the Pistons 2-28, lost 27 straight. I got to touch on this every week. I got to get the scoop on this.
Yeah, we got at least, I got at least have something to mention out this, but go ahead first.
Yep. Brandon Herrera, congratulations on the NFC North title. Thank you. But the Pistons, Tom Gores finally spoke, and he was just promising. He apologized to the fans. He promised to the fans that he was going to fix this. I wonder if he's lying or telling the truth, because right now it doesn't look like they were telling the truth, but
it doesn't come off as sincere. Like when Martha Ford came out and addressed problems when the Lions started 1-6 last year, you could tell and feel the sincerity coming from her. You cannot do that with Tom Gores, especially when you hear and read the words that's coming out of his drunken mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, Gores is such a greedy and drunk and high liar.
Do not panic. Do the right thing. Don't shake them like what? Trust me, man. Your team has not only set a record for ineptitude, they're on verge of going down as the worst team in league history. When do we not panic? You got a guy in Cade Cunningham who, for the last 10 games, has been busting his ass, trying to do whatever is necessary. Exactly. He can only do too much. He's only one dude. But yet he, at 22 years old, he is the one that's shouldering the blame. He is the one that's taking the accountability. He is the one that's getting up there and facing the press with press conferences, answering the tough questions, giving his thoughts, letting us know that this is not what we want to be, not where we should be. So, and trust me, that is remarkable to see him do that, because that is establishing character. That showcases what type of leader that he is becoming and what type of leader he is. And
he's no leader.
And it shows that we made the right choice.
Okay.
and selecting him to be our franchise player.
Oh, Cade, I'm sorry. Yeah, not
But
Gordon.
we're not helping him. We're not getting him the help he needs. We're not supporting him with the right players, the right system, the right scheme, nothing. We thought we were getting this coach in Monty Williams that was going to be, help bring a revitalization job the way he did to Phoenix. Frankly, what he's installed is a three-point shooting system for a team that has no three-point shooting. Scratch that. They have no shooters, period. As much as you like
They don't
guys
have
like
passers either. They keep being stupid with the basketball and themselves and each other, turning the ball over way too many freaking times.
But guess what? Guess what? All of that could be neutralized if you just make some more baskets. And guess Bogdanovich, he's been regressing. He's your only noteworthy deep threat shooter. Cade is not really a shooter himself. He's much more as a guy that works best off the ball, using his playmaking, using his defense, using whatever he can to set up his players. But when he can get inside, use the mid range, get to the lane and drive, that's where he's best at. And you've been seeing how he's been producing and giving it his all with 40-point games against the Hawks and another 40-point game against the Nets. But it's still not enough. So at that point, you turn your attention to, not just the head coach for not putting the right lineups out there, but at some point you have got to look at your general manager and say, Troy Weaver, what in the hell have you been doing, man? We expected you to help turn this ship into something that was meaningful, that had a purpose, that had some type of direction. But there is no direction right now. And the fact that we are seeing Cade going out there and giving these press conferences and not you speaks a lot about you right now, my man. And that's not good.
No. 52 losses in the last 58 games. And under Gore's records in 27 games in the regular
season.
Think
about this.
Record 14 straight playoff losses.
We may be looking at a potential scenario where the Detroit Lions end up finishing the season with more wins in the regular season than the Detroit Pistons could. Think about that. The Lions play only 17 games. Pistons only play 82. Yet the Lions feels like they are currently the team that's going to finish with more wins out of the two. That's embarrassing. That should be grounds to have not just anyone fired, but a clean ship. But I don't know, man. I don't know what else is going to take for this owner to get it, this front office to get it, or frankly for the league to step in. I don't know what it's going to take at this point.
Because the hard truth that's already been being revealed is that there's no accountability with Tom Gores or anyone in the administration or the front office.
Oh, and by the way, guys, you think this gets easier? Guess who your next opponent is? The best team in the league with the best record, the Boston Celtics. Have fun.
Have fun getting routed, unless they somehow prove me wrong. But really, I don't think odds are there that's not going to happen. They definitely don't care.
And they don't and frankly, at this point, they don't even deserve. If they somehow win the lottery next season, they don't even deserve that number one pick. That's how
the lottery. Even the lottery doesn't matter.
That's how
no matter what number of pick they don't. If they still can't do a damn thing on the court, you got to prove it on the court. Boston and Toronto, the next opponents. Yeah, the Raptors, they won the 2019 NBA championship, by the way.
So when you think about this, the way the Pistons are currently on pace, they could potentially have at the end of the season the worst record in the history of the league, or at least definitely a modern era. And in terms of since the turn of this century, in terms of teams having the worst records in each of the four sports, worst records since 2000 at least, potentially it will look like all four of those records would have been owned by teams from the city of Detroit. Because what? You got the 119 lost Tigers, you got the 0-16 Pistons. You even have the
16 Lions.
Excuse me. The 0-16 Lions. Trust me, the Pistons have been so bad they're now infecting my analogy. And then you even have the Red Wings with their awful season where they had 17-45, something to that effect.
That was in 2019.
Yeah, believe it and ironically, right, Ken Holland's last season. So all that to now have to be topped off by the Pistons setting this record, it would just be the cherry on top.
Yep. Galvin Plays X on Twitch commented, as a Packer fan, I'm happy for you guys that y'all won the division.
Appreciate that. Appreciate the Beetlejuice, Abby.
And then there's that. but we're not worried about that.
That's okay. Trust me, it's not. It's really not our concern because we know what our future looks like in the division. Good luck
Fire
trying.
Joe Barry.
Good luck trying. Good luck trying to develop Jordan Love. That's all I
I've
gotta
heard of
say.
Joe Barry, but I forgot who he
I believe
what
he's the defensive coordinator or the G. Yeah.
of the Packers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. If you had to bet on when the next win would happen, what would you place that on?
Easy. Lions. Easy.
Oh,
You're the
the
Lions or the
Lions, yeah.
Wings. You're the Lions or the Wings. It's sure as shit
Just the
not going to be the
Lions.
Pistons.
Yep. Joe Dumars looks good right now as the general manager. Yep.
Oh goodness.
Chris, thanks very much. Get some rest. Again, keep spreading that word. I'll try to come on your show as well. I'll do the best I can with all the info I can gather. Dumars was a scapegoat because of the Darko draft pick.
Oh, it was more than, trust me, it was more than just the Darko draft pick. Joe did a lot of horrible, horrendous decisions in the later years as general manager. He trust me, he more than earned his share of blame for that.
Yeah. Brandon Herrera says he bet on the next Pistons win, not the Lions.
Yeah, no problem.
That's what I
thought. Maybe Martin Luther King Day before. That's the cutoff date. Martin Luther King Day.
I can't even guess. I have no crystal ball for this.
Yeah, if they can get a win, do it before Martin Luther King. Do it before Martin Luther King Day. If not, I give up at this point.
Well, hey, anyway, any win can come, even if it doesn't come this year. Compared to this, Dumars I'd bring back in a second, or Isaiah Thomas.
No. Don't wish that on anybody. As much love and respect I have for Zeke as a player, Isaiah, the general manager, no. That'd be like putting Matt Millen back on the Lions. No.
Chris Pomey says he predicts a win over Toronto on Saturday because he pointed out that the Toronto Raptors have been struggling as of late. But still, Weaver is trash. Yes.
Sure. That we all said the same thing about Utah. They pulled like 4 or 6 of their starters from that game, and they still beat our asses. So,
by the way, I read breaking news a few hours ago from Sham Sharania. The Pistons were targeting free agents Siakam, OG Anunoby, Tobias Harris, and Miles Bridges. It seems like the Pistons are Siakam, yeah.
Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
Anunoby, Tobias Harris, Miles Bridges. Hey, I'll say this. It will be nice to bring Tobias back, at least bring one shooter back. But it seems like you're going for more wings. That doesn't seem to give you much on the offensive side of things. So besides Tobias and maybe Siakam, I don't know. But my best bet would be looking at Tobias.
Yeah.
He was effective for us when he was here, but that would be my best logical guess.
But my take on this is the Pistons, truthfully, are desperate to try to win a game by trying to add more depth and experience on the court.
They're just at rock bottom right now.
Pascal is good. You need guys who can play defense and rebound and shoot. Yes. Do more than double duties. Yeah. Of course. And speaking of the Red Wings, they lost again to the Minnesota Wild 6-3. Another crappy third period. 30 still. They got 36 points, but just 2 points over the week. That's not acceptable.
They're becoming middle of the road. They're becoming just average, and the record reflects that. You are what your record says you are. If you're a 500 team, you're a 500 team. If you're middle of the road, you're middle of the road. And frankly, the way they've been playing, they deserve to be in their spot right now. Okay, yeah, you ended your losing streak against the Flyers, but you had to score 7 damn goals to do it. And then you come out and play flat against New Jersey, and then you come out here and get stopped by Minnesota. So because of that, you've now fallen out of wild card contention, and you are in the middle of the road in standings in your own division.
Yeah.
At least I will say this. At least Patrick Kane has been the one lone positive thing to come out of this recent stretch of negativity. He's got 6 goals in his 11 games that he's played so far. His connection with Alex DeBrincat seems like he's never skipped a day, and he has factored in on 37% of all Red Wings scoring and goals. So, and I agree, Eisman has more work to do, primarily on the goaltending side of things, but that's beating a dead horse.
Yeah. Yeah, but even the defensive breakdowns aren't helping either.
Oh, trust me, I've noticed too much, unfortunately.
Yeah, 8th year, no playoffs, a franchise record. Larkin's still not as good, overrated, but loved by media being a Michigan kid.
I wouldn't say overrated. I think he's good for where he's at.
He's scored a lot of goals too.
You know, he just recently missed time. He got injured, on a dirty play.
Exactly,
but he just came back. So I would disagree and say saying he's overrated, because I think without him, this team would not be would be worse than what they are right now currently.
How about Lucas Raymond?
Raymond regressed recently, yes, but he's still one of their important players.
Yep, not a huge fan of his overall. Well, hey, I'm a fan of Patrick Kane. Period.
I don't know if he's talking about Kane or Raymond, but frankly, if you've seen how Kane has played since he's gotten here,
he meant Raymond.
Yeah, I thought he meant Raymond. I was gonna say, you gotta be crazy if you don't like what Kane's been doing. But what else can you do?
I'm sure. Sure he does not mean Patrick Kane. I promise that.
I'm sure of that too. So.
Yep, Kane is a great addition. Yeah. So, what all did we learn this week?
You can say, frankly, I'll do an audible and say, what do we learn for this year? This is our last show of the year. There have been things that we have missed, and omissioned, things that I probably would have wished to have had a better chance to talk about or mention of throughout the year. So charge it to my memory, charge it to my head, not my heart. Namely, for example, not mentioning the passing of Jim Price, to me was a massive error on my part, because Jim Price, who has been a very important fixture for not just for Detroit Tigers baseball, but also for me personally in terms of studying what makes baseball teams work with their pitching, and also with radio analysis and just analysis in general. So I wanted to at least acknowledge that part before going on to what else that we learned for this year. We learned that the Red Wings have taken a necessary step up in terms of wanting to be a step closer to what they once were with past glory, but they still have work to do. We have learned that the Pistons are at a bottomless rut with no direction. And frankly, unless things start changing with, at the very least, the general, with some spots within the front office, I don't know when things will get better. You have Kate Cunningham, but even I don't know how long his threshold will take in terms of wanting to withstand all this before he even wants to get out. So there's that. We've learned that the Tigers, frankly, are in as good a spot as they can, to where if certain things go their way in terms of better spending, better production, better efficiency, they would have a strong chance of possibly winning their division next year. Granted, that speaks to how weak and bad their division is, but frankly, when you are a Tigers team that has absolutely collapsed since since 2013, 2014, you'll take it any chance you get. So that's what I'm hoping for the Tigers in 2024, better contention for the AL Central. And last but not least, with the two football teams, what we learned from Michigan Wolverines is that this was a team that had predicated themselves on wanting to finish unfinished business, finish the story. They have the prime opportunity and chance to do that now here. It's going to be coming up here in this playoff against Alabama. And frankly, no matter what happens after this season ends, in regards to investigations, rumors, murmurs, suspensions, whatever the case may be, you enjoy the moment in the here and now. That's what I've learned about, not just from Michigan, but it's also especially with the Lions, because frankly, after seeing a season like this, after so many years of futility, so many years of failure, So many years of heartbreak and ineptitude and just flat out depression. They have now given me, you, fans, people like us all over the city and frankly all over the state and all over this country who bleed that Honolulu blue a reason to why they still hold on to that gear, or why they still go to the games, or why they still watch on TV. Because of that, it sounds cliche, but it's because of hope. Hope for moments and hope for years and situations like now to where you're seeing this team rise up, you would say, probably live up to its full potential, but frankly, just give this fan base and this city something is desperately needed for a very long time, and frankly, it is a long time coming.
Yes. And that's exactly everything that we've learned on this episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, the last one of 2023. And it ends with a bang, of course. 11 peak live viewers total on all 7 platforms being broadcast via StreamYard, Facebook, LinkedIn Live, YouTube, X, Twitch, and Instagram. Yeah, I mean, that's 6, but on 2 Facebook platforms, my personal profile and the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast Facebook page, of course. So I'm Taylor Phillips. He's Ed Smith. Follow the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at Michigan_Truth, and like its Facebook page. Subscribe to its YouTube channel at the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, and like our videos and turn on all notifications on the bell icon. Follow it and listen to it in audio form on Spreaker. Follow me on X, TikTok, and Instagram and YouTube at DT2Phillips. Follow Ed Smith on Twitter, on X, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube at Ed Smith 313. Business shout-outs go to Athletico Physical Therapy on Woodward and Ferndale, the B4 Foundation, Burke's Waterfront Restaurant in Cadillac, Cali Tickets. Call 877-225 or visit calitickets.com. Creative Embroidery of Cadillac for designing the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast logo on my long sleeve shirt and t-shirt. See the new tripods that I got for Christmas. Cuts by Melanie in Lake City. Let's Roll With It rolled ice cream in Cadillac, where I suggested and requested the cordial cherry as the flavor of the week. It's out now this week. Thank God. Thanks. I tasted it. It is really amazing. The maraschino cherries and the chocolate.
You don't say.
Man, that can even tempt you to try rolled ice cream, Ed. It will.
I mean, hey, if I'm ever in the mood for it, you never know.
Have you ever tried rolled ice cream of any flavor before?
Might have, but probably a long time ago.
Long time. Oh, wow.
Yeah. But anyway, by the way, while we're still talking, I'll give another quick shout out to Union Barbershop on West Maple Road in Birmingham.
Oh, yes. Thanks. The Union Barbershop in Birmingham. Gotcha. By the way, follow Let's Roll With It rolled ice cream in Cadillac on TikTok at The Food Mafia LLC and on Instagram at The Food Mafia rolled ice cream. Northern Star Event Rentals in Cadillac, 231-884-8195 to schedule a booking ahead of time for next year, 2024, which is coming up in just a few days. And you can like them on Facebook. United Food Service Solutions of Grand Ledge, Michigan, of course, and also Positive Chimney in Cadillac. You can buy the best chimneys out there. So our next episode, which will be the first of 2024, yeah, we'll go on Thursday at 10:30 p.m. So with that being said, that's another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Until next Thursday at 10:30, for Ed Smith, I'm Taylor Phillips. And remember, we observe and detect the truth about Michigan sports. Hit them with a hind. Stay aware. Stay on the lookout. And stay aware, everyone.
Be safe,
Happy
everyone.
New Year.
Be safe, everyone. Please enjoy your holiday season. Have the most wonderful and safe of New Year's. And go blue.
And go Lions.
Yes, sir.